Now, in this week's Let's Talk Some Star Wars, we're going to be taking a look at the results of, and your comments from, the poll that asked the question, which one is winning right now, Marvel or Star Wars? And before we get to those results, I know what a lot of you might be thinking right now. How is this even a question? Why is this even a question? In fact, that's what many people asked in the comments. However, what I was really interested in wasn't the less than surprising results of the poll, which, as you can see, was 93% Marvel and 7% Star Wars. Rather, I was mainly interested in getting some candid responses from all of you that I could then direct towards Disney and or Lucasfilm, which is something I've done in the past with some of my other videos. This time though, again, I just wanted some quick, candid responses that cut right to the heart of the issue, instead of the more formally addressed ones that I've gotten in the past. And I know some of you think that Disney and or Lucasfilm don't care or don't listen or will never watch the video, so what the hell's the point anyway? And you could very well be right. In fact, you probably are. And the only sort of quote-unquote success that I've ever had at reaching them with one of these videos is a strange private message I got here on YouTube the last time I put one of these up, which came from someone called the SW Ambassador, which seemed to be a brand new user and has long since been deleted. And anyway, the message simply said, "We do listen," and when I replied to the message asking who they were or who they represented, I got no response. And yep, I'll fully admit that could have been anything from some random person here on YouTube trying to mess with me, to maybe Kathleen Kennedy herself, I suppose, or someone else who works at Lucasfilm, more likely, trying to reach out in some small way, with the greatest possibility out of those no doubt being the random person trying to be funny. But who knows for sure, and even though I highly doubt they'll ever publicly acknowledge a video like this, that doesn't mean no one at Lucasfilm will watch it and maybe, just maybe, take to heart this message that some of the fans are trying to send to them. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to it, and this week I'm mostly just going to read your comments without too much input from me till the bitter end of the video when I'll briefly give you my thoughts. And if anyone from Lucasfilm is watching this, hello there. This is why some of your fans think you're losing to Marvel right now. And as I always do, I'll start with the top-rated comment, which came to us from Andre Stewart, who simply said, "Ironically, no matter which option you pick, Disney still wins." And, well, you're certainly not wrong there. But anyway, let's just move on to the next comment, which came to us from Cell1577, who said, "Remember when a new Star Wars movie wasn't just a movie, but an event? Infinity War and now Endgame are the events. Episode 9, as of now, is just a movie." And let me just say, that might be the comment that sums it up the best, because after 20-some movies, Endgame does feel like the culmination of this epic and incredible journey, whereas Star Wars Episode 9, which should feel like the end of an incredible epic journey after 40-some years now, currently doesn't. Alright, next up we have a comment from Jadubi, who said, "I chose Star Wars not because I think it's better, but because I deeply wish it was." Next up, Jed Rhodes, who said, "Marvel is winning. They not only make you care about characters, but they don't betray those characters. Star Wars has betrayed the old cast, and it's failed to make the majority of people care for the new cast." Next up, a comment from Joshua Ristow, who said, "Saddens me for sure, but the MCU has it by far for so many reasons. Not to say I'm sad that the MCU is awesome, but I just wish Star Wars was handled with the same love as all." Next up, this comment from Mr. Pittman, who says, "The MCU has had a plan since the beginning of making a great experience. Star Wars has been trying to make money." Moving on now to a comment from Not the Droids You're Looking For, who said, "Marvel has the better and commercially more successful movies, but it cannot capture my imagination the same way Star Wars did." Alright, let's get to a comment now from Rick Poole, who said, "The thing is, I don't want the MCU to be winning. This is because Star Wars always put out great content until the crap content under Disney. Meanwhile, Marvel movies have mostly been the same, with some being stupidly overrated. Make of that what you will. However, as I said in a prior video, one has the hype of the solar system behind it, the other is filled with dread. It's easy to guess which one is winning then. I think the next thing to do is to look back and see how we got here. Why has one faded and another risen? But great question as always, Luke Odinson. Sorry, I mean Thor Skywalker." Alright, then there's this comment from Rigamonti, who said, "I expected it to be the MCU. It just makes me more and more sad though, because I love Star Wars so much, and I feel your pain, Rigamonti." Okay, next up, a comment from Rogue Matter, who said, "I don't know a single person who is legitimately excited for Episode 9 of Star Wars. I don't even remember the last time I heard it mentioned. There just isn't anything to look forward to in the franchise anymore. Marvel, on the other hand, is about to deliver a true conclusion to 10 years of quality films, and everyone is excited for the final Avengers movie. All right, then this comment from Sam63 who said, it's zero competition. Captain Marvel made over 900 million. Actually, I think it's over $1 billion by now. And it's not even an Avengers movie, while Solo couldn't even pass 400 million. It's not even funny. Next up, a comment from Star Wars News who said, Marvel, given my channel name, it should say a lot that I'm voting that way. All right, let's now move on to a comment from Sterling Getter who said, let's look at this rationally. Marvel is winning. However, I believe this comes from the careful and passionate work from the writers and directors that wanted to build a universe that everyone could enjoy. With Avengers Endgame right now around the corner, I've never seen a more hyped fan base since the release of The Phantom Menace back in 1999. What I honestly think is happening here is Disney's belief that since the MCU had nothing but its comic book fans in the beginning, pre-2008, that they had to take more care and tread lightly to get people into the story. But with Star Wars, Disney believed we as the fans would buy anything they sold us, even if the product was poor. If Disney wants to earn back our or my trust, I think they'd benefit from putting as much time and effort into their stories and characters that George Lucas did when he was filming the original Star Wars. It may be a lot to ask, but if the result is a happy fan base, what is there to lose? Okay, next up a comment from Sully998 who said, Marvel is winning simply because Marvel Studios doesn't blame its fan base for its faults. It listens, learns, and moves on. While Lucasfilm is attacking the Star Wars fan base for some of us not enjoying The Last Jedi. Alright then, next up a comment from Stickman who had this to say. One has to wonder if Star Wars is even relevant anymore. Where Marvel has the freedom to put subtle social commentary into its movies, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, etc., and still have a very cohesive cinematic universe, Star Wars seems to be unclear on what it's trying to say in the modern era, or what it even is now. If there's a feminist agenda, as some suggest, they're failing at that. I honestly have no idea what the sequel trilogy really is about at its core. By the time fans walked out of The Empire Strikes Back, fans knew who and what Luke, Han, and Leia were and what needed to be done. I have no idea who or what Rey is or what she wants or why she wants it. The sequels aren't about anything, not one goal really, not one message. It's seemingly only about pumping out Star Wars and raking in that cash. That's not how you make an ending saga that will last for generations. I doubt Episode 9 can save it. Then there's this comment from the Annie Brainiac who simply said, right now, Star Wars is at its lowest point and the MCU is at its highest. Alright, moving on now to a comment from the one Zubatman who said, I work at a school and the evidence is clear. Kids mostly wear Marvel merch. They like Marvel heroes and don't even know that many Star Wars characters. Star Wars is still fairly popular, but kids seem to like My Little Pony or Pokemon more. Now on to this comment from Thomas Pena who said, Marvel is winning because they run the franchise with passion, whereas Lucasfilm is being run with no passion. Then there's this comment from B. Wayne who said, this question was for April Fool's Day, I think. It's too obvious to ask. Then we have this comment from Comic Geek 327 who says, MCU hands down. Careful planning, overall sharp writing and characterization, and loving attention to the lore and world that is wasted on the current Star Wars slate. And then we have this comment from Daniel Mack who says, the poll may as well read plan versus no plan. Marvel is killing it. Now on to a comment from Darth Apocalypsis who says, a franchise run by fans versus a franchise run by people who only care about money. I don't need to say anything more. Then there's this comment from Emma Wright who said, the MCU has better plot, characters, themes, writing, and direction. The only thing Star Wars does well is effects and score, but sounding looking pretty does not a good movie make. Next up, this comment from Fun Off who said, I've planned how I will see Endgame in the cinema opening night a month in advance. I will never watch another Star Wars movie. After having seen them all opening night, The Last Jedi will be my last. And finally now, this comment from Gree007 who simply said, LOL, this was not the case literally 2 years ago. And the thing is, it might not be the case 2 years from now either, because to get into my closing thoughts here, I certainly think Star Wars can reclaim the throne, and it's going to have an opening to do that after Endgame, when Marvel loses some of its actors and characters and after its main storyline for the past 10 years is completed. Because, and I'll likely talk about this even more in a separate video, Marvel may soon find itself in the very same position Star Wars did a few years ago when Disney took over, and tried to continue a story that once felt 100% finished after Return of the Jedi. In other words, it's hard to capture that same magic that originally made something special and to also do something new and fresh with it at the same time. It's hard to keep telling the same story in the relatively same way before people just start to get tired of it. Most likely, once Thanos is dealt with in Endgame, Marvel is going to introduce a new big, bad, overarching villain that will be behind the scenes for the next 5 to 10 years of all of their movies. One that will ultimately need to be stopped in an Avengers movie. I mean, let's be honest, there's not much else to do with comic book movies than to create a villain that needs to be stopped by a hero. Just like on the surface at least, there doesn't seem to be much to do with a Star Wars trilogy other than to introduce some new characters and play light side versus dark all over again, which, to put it very simplistically, is pretty much what the sequel trilogy has done. And to be completely clear here, I want Star Wars to succeed. Almost more than anything else I can think of, I want it to be great and to continue to be great for the rest of my life. I want to talk about all things I currently love about it, but you have to give me reasons to love what you're currently doing. I mean, I love the idea that Star Wars is something that can be passed down from one generation to the next, and I'd love it if someday I was going with my grandkids to a new Star Wars movie. But right now, Lucasfilm needs to take stock of the situation and realize they are currently a distant second place to Marvel, and I'll likely be taking my grandkids to see Avengers 20 down the road instead of a new Star Wars movie. And if they want to change that, if they want to reclaim the top spot, they have to listen to their fans and understand that a lot of them, though certainly not all of them, have been disappointed with what they've been doing. And most of those fans, almost all of them I'd imagine, are just like me. They want to love Star Wars, they want to come back to it, and they want to share it with their kids and grandkids down the road. But it has to be good. There has to be passion behind it. And you, Lucasfilm, might respond by saying, hey, there is passion behind it. We love what we do. We love Star Wars, and we love bringing it to you fans. But the problem is, that isn't translating. A lot of your fans don't feel like you care about them, or even are listening to what they're saying. Anyway, I'm done talking about this for now, and hopefully someone at Lucasfilm is listening and understands what we're trying to say here. Well, that's all I've got for this time. Now it's your turn to tell me why you think Star Wars is losing to Marvel and what Lucasfilm can do to start to turn it around. So leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.